when speaking of karma means that action which doesn't bring the result on the material plane. The result is actually spiritual by performing karma. When we perform karma, then we don't have the reaction, which means we're liberated. There's two words which are what's called antonyms. Synonym means they have the same meaning or essence. You just give them in a little different angle. Just like the word captured and the word trapped. Those are synonyms. Does that make sense? Both means same thing. Antonym means they mean they're opposites. So bondage and liberation are actually antonyms. So the normal condition of action in the material world is bondage. But when you perform that in knowledge of your relationship with Krishna, then that action actually brings liberation. So the key is to practice in such a way that we're always conscious of our relationship with Krishna and act in that consciousness. We can be conscious of so many things. Generally, we're just conscious of our bodies. Can you relate with that? I'm walking and I'm making sure that I'm safe for my body's sake. Or I'm trying to eat so that my body can be nourished in a certain way. I'm trying to act in such a way that I may have self-preservation.
With the clip.
So, this means we're bodily conscious. This means we're pretty much bodily conscious. Here's a little technical stuff, so they can hear upstairs. Swami may give a comment, so he listens and then he may speak over the speaker. So the point I was trying to make is that generally our consciousness is limited only to our relationship with the body. Last piece is the little box.
Yeah, I'll just use it here.
I think it's just on the other side of the computer. So, if that's the extent of my consciousness, then I'm actually an animal. I'm like an animal. You know? So that's the situation of the human society. Is they don't have any knowledge of themselves as a spirit soul within the body, different from the body, transmigrating, birth after birth, different from the mind, actually an eternal spirit soul who's actually Krishna's eternal servant, a child of God. We don't know those things. So therefore, everybody wants pleasure. Therefore, they're simply thinking they're the body. So pleasure for the body means win, win, win. But if I'm not the body, pleasure for the body may not be a win. You know, my real needs as a soul may be different than my body's needs. So what's interesting here is that Krishna is very reasonable. He says, you're going to have to act because it's impossible to stop acting. So nobody here in this room is saying to stop acting. It's a change of consciousness. That's what we're doing here. And that's why it's scientific. Because by acting in a certain way, our consciousness is changed. And that change is an elevation. That change is positive. Then the same actions which we're performing will be done in a higher consciousness, which actually liberates us from bondage. So let's continue here. Text 12. We'll read the translation and purport again. We'll continue. So text 12 says, for one who has not renounced the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such results to suffer or enjoy. Purport. A person in Krishna consciousness or in the mode of goodness does not hate anyone or anything which troubles his body. He does work in the proper place and at the proper time without fearing the troublesome effects of his duty. Such a person situated in transcendence should be understood to be most intelligent and beyond all doubts in his activities. Right? So this person who's in Krishna consciousness, they know that my duty is to please Krishna. So even if there's a little suffering for my body, right? My real pleasure is his pleasure. That's what's called love. That's why Bhakti Yoga is the art of eternal love. Love is a type of a sacrifice. Love has, from one perspective, it's like it's causeless. It doesn't make sense. And to sacrifice my pleasure, my time, my energy for somebody else's well-being. It doesn't make sense in the material atmosphere, but it makes complete sense spiritually. So actually love is spiritual. And in this material world, we're always tinged with this idea of what's in it for me. That's the characterizing factor of the material world, is what's in it for me. So then I may play nice if there's something in it for me. But love means even if there's not something in it for me, I'm still gonna serve. I'm still gonna love, right? So that's actually the condition of the spiritual world. And that's why it's completely blissful. Because in that atmosphere, there's no envy. Nobody is trying to cut each other down. Nobody is trying to get ahead by putting others, behind. Everybody is trying to put each other up. They want others to be closer to Krishna, to be more loving to Krishna, and to get more attention and affection from Krishna. So that's the relationship between devotees also, that the devotees want each other to also increase in their relationship with God, and that's why the Sangha, sadhu Sangha, is so potent, because you go there to be with the sadhus, and
There's a charger. There's a charger in the camera. Now we can use it again. So let's go on to the third text. It says,
O mighty armed Arjuna, learn from me of the five factors which bring about the accomplishment of all action. These are declared in Sankhya philosophy to be the place of action, the performer, the senses, was going to take us in the right direction in our career. Or say we were looking for a romantic partner or a relationship, or in the Vedic sense, we want to find a husband or a wife, right? So then in the Vedic system, that choice is made after proper vetting, meaning that, there's so many aspects which will be considered before the match is made, and okay, figure it out, guys. You know what I mean? They make sure that, it's gonna be good. It's gonna work. It may have its bumps, which is natural, but it's gonna work. At least they say we're gonna make it work. So the Vedas, right, have been vetted by all the greatest teachers on the planet, called acharyas, who act in such a way that others can follow their example. Acharya, this word achar refers to action, or how we act. So this acharya means that he is exemplary by how he acts, and others can follow his example to make spiritual benefit. So all the greatest acharyas have accepted Vedanta Sutra, and here, even though Lord Krishna is actually the compiler of the Vedas through his incarnation as Vyasadeva, here he's personally quoting the philosophy which is found in those books. Of course, at the time of Lord Krishna, 5,000 years ago, historically, that was the beginning of written language. Vyasadeva was on the planet during that same period. Of course, Vyasadeva is also still on the planet, according to the scriptures. In the Butterick ashram, he can be found when one has spiritual eyes. He can be met there. That is what Madhvacharya has done. So there's actually a large gap in terms of years, thousands of years, between Vyasadeva and Madhvacharya. And actually, Madhvacharya traveled to Butterick ashram, and he had sufficient sincerity in his spiritual quest to meet the most qualified guru as Vyasadeva, who was so qualified in Vedic knowledge that he was able to essentialize it into the written word, whereas previously it was passed just by word of mouth. So Madhvacharya met with Vyasadeva and received Diksha and was initiated into the Sampradaya. And then he had these two prominent disciples here, Padmanabha and Narehari, and so forth. And they started disseminating that same knowledge, Vedic knowledge. So the point I was trying to make is that in our state, the Lord is certainly guiding us, but we also have our free will. So how much we listen to him means how much spiritual we actually are. Because his will is the essence of spirituality. His will is, that's the definition of spiritual. Means that it's related with and harmonized with Krishna's will. So to act in accordance with his will is spiritual, and to act in contrary to his will is material. So in our state, it's really important that we don't artificially claim that we've become perfectly harmonized with him Rather, we continually strive to be more harmonized. You know? So in our tradition, we understand our tradition is a tradition of knowledge, of truth. So we understand that the Vedas are filled with that truth, and anyone who's sincere can find it there and practice. So by constantly seeking for the truth, right, then we can satisfy the aim of human life. But if we as practitioners claim that, oh, I did X, Y, and Z, now I'm saved forever, right? Type of a, I purchased salvation by a few rituals, then that's not exactly what we're after here. We're after a continual search for the supreme absolute truth. And yes, when we come to the right source of knowledge and the right scientific process to awaken that knowledge and realize that knowledge, we're certainly encouraged to take full advantage of it. Right? But if we slacken or we relax in our search for the absolute truth, then we can be criticized for claiming that our sectarian process has awarded me salvation, and now I'm saved, and now I can relax, and because I did the thing, you know. So we're interested in a continual search after pleasing Krishna and getting closer to him, and he's unlimited, he's infinite. So those who are in full knowledge, they know that the relationship with Krishna is eternally evolving. It's not stagnant. So if we want to practice that same spiritual science, we also have to constantly apply ourselves and continually enrich and deepen our desire to please Krishna. That's the essence of a loving relationship, is to want to please the other. So we use what he's given us in the scriptures, the process of devotional service, hearing, chanting, remembering him, praying, serving the deity, offering foods to him, and so on and so forth. Because that's how he says he wants to be served. But in those same services, there's a constant evolution and deepening of intent, a deepening of desire. And that's up to every individual. It can't be done for you by someone else. That deepening, that sincerity, applying ourselves with that sincerity is everyone has to fly his own airplane. Everyone has to fly his own airplane. So those are some comments from me. Those are some of my reflections. Thank you for your kind attention. Would anybody like to share something now, or maybe ask a question? Okay. Okay, Krishnendu Prabhu, can you use the mic?
So we're hearing from the Vedic literature, and we hear it's all compiled by Vyasadeva. How do we know we can just trust this one person who's giving all this information? Why is it validated?
Yeah, so it's not just one person, it's so many. So many persons already did that test, you know? So many persons already tested it. But logically can be it also can be understood that there's certain things in the Vedas which even a common person can test. Somebody like me, you know, I'm not a great yogi or acharya, but I can also test some of that knowledge, you know. If you have had any experience with the Ayurvedic science or with the science of yoga or pranayam or, you know, or the science of health or so on and so forth, cleanliness, then one can make a test of everything that's in the Vedas. It can be tested and verified. But if you want to save time, then you can accept it because it's been accepted by people who are more intelligent than myself. You know, that's the idea. Yeah. So, Prabhu, the the order is to mute this. Oh, great. Please do. Can you tell the devotees that you're going to do that?
So Maharaj said that Vyasadev got what he learned from Narada, and Narada got what he learned from the most intelligent person in the universe, Brahma. And Brahma got his knowledge from Vishnu, so that's how we know that that's how we know we can trust Vyasadev.
Nice. He comes from a good lineage. So, well, maybe we end with that. And thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srimad Bhagavad Gita.